In my last video for The Long Dark, I said I was working on one big final video about the Signal Void outbreak and another related event within the game. Well, I wrote the script for that 4 times, it turned into 3 videos, Starfield came out, and now we know the next tale is at least 2 months away. While I work on these longer videos, I want to work on some shorter ones in preparation for episode 5. So far, I have explored the history of Great Bear Island, the science behind the first flare, and the mystery of Signal Void. Now is the time to discuss the story of the game, its characters, and the events that have shaped the quiet apocalypse in this little corner of Canada. Before I continue, I would appreciate it if you liked the video, leave a comment, and watch until the very end to help fight the algorithm and improve the video's performance. Let me start with the 2 most important characters in The Long Dark, the protagonists of the game, Will Mackenzie and Astrid Greenwood. There is not much known about them prior to the events of the game except the most important details. At some point in time, Will and Astrid were married. After this, they had a child together. It is not known what exactly happened, but it is speculated that a tragic event caused the death of their child. Devastated by the loss, Will began to drink heavily. Astrid saw it as excessive, but Will thought it was under control. Eventually, they would divorce and move on with their lives. Despite the separation, they both still shared the trauma of losing a child. Will Mackenzie was a bush pilot for Jackrabbit Remote Transport. This family business was started by Jack Mackenzie, his father. At the start of The Long Dark, the company was run by Will and Maureen, who I believe worked in an administrative position for the company. Will would essentially fly to remote places and transport supplies. In this challenging economic period in Canada's history, Will was responsible for keeping small communities from dying. Despite the great need for this service, Jackrabbit Remote Transport was not doing well financially. Dr. Astrid Greenwood was a researcher at the Seraphim Sleep Research Center working on an illness that is unknown to us as of now. It is very clear from the dialogue and cutscenes in the game that she was working to help a patient at Perseverance Mills, Great Bear Island. After many years separated from Will, Astrid found herself in a situation where contact needed to be made. It is assumed that just before the game begins, she steals the cure to the unknown illness, effectively ending her career at Seraphim and potentially making her a wanted person. In the opening cutscenes for Wintermute, we can see that things are awkward between Will and Astrid. Despite the monumental risk of leaving for Great Bear Island in the middle of a blizzard, Will agrees to help. It is even revealed that both of them still wear their wedding rings despite being separated for years. There is still some form of emotional attachment between the two, and it might stem from their shared trauma. The loss of a loved one is never easy, and I imagine it was intentional to have the 2 protagonists so closely tied together despite the events that led to their separation. It's too bad the first flare interrupted what I assume was Will's first chance to say how he truly felt after so many years apart. Of course, Will and Astrid's stories don't end here. The rest is so intertwined with Wintermute, it is better to include it in subsequent videos. From this point, the events of the game begin, and I will be dividing each episode of Wintermute into appropriate video topics. To start, I'll share the topics for the next few videos so I don't leave you wondering too much. These include Grey Mother, Methuselah, and the events in Milton from both Astrid and Will's perspectives. Moving forward, I want to keep things short for these videos. The goal is 2 to 3 minutes, but the ones I mentioned at the top of this video are definitely going to be much longer. These longer videos will take time and effort, so I would appreciate a like and a comment to help with the algorithm. Also, subscribe and hit the notification bell if you want to see more content like this in The Long Dark. Finally, if you can spare a few bucks, I would greatly appreciate it if you became a member to help support the channel a little bit more. Shout out to a new member that recently joined, but I can't see their name unfortunately. Also, shout out to the Long Dark Fandom Wiki for being a supplemental source for this video.
Can't feel my feet.